Grief is not a mental illness. It is a necessary process that is important for any individual to take when they lose a loved one. It is absolutely okay for you to feel sad, struggle, have challenges in functioning optimally in what you would usually do before losing that person. So it's okay to pass through that process. But if you don't allow yourself to address your grief through that process, you're likely to be exposing yourself to face some anxiety, depression, or suicidality. And that's why when you see individuals who process grief or address their grief, they're usually able to express their feelings, talk about it, and gradually get healing over time. And I'm not saying that grief has a time. No, it's a journey. And taking you through that journey in a healthy way is what we're talking about today. Welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Habiba. I am a registered mental health and substance use nurse. My major is in global mental health. Today's topic promises to be as informative as always. It's PMH by Abby. But today's episode is a very uncomfortable one. It's personal to me as well, and I'll try not to be emotional. And I know it's going to be emotional to some of us, so please take care of yourself. And I promise to give you something very educative, because some of us might have never experienced grief, probably from a farther distance, some people from a closer distance, some people are experiencing it right in the moment. But the question is, how best can you handle the grief that you're experiencing? And how best, or somebody who wants to support someone with grief, how do you think you can identify with that person grieving to be able to best support them in a healthy way? Stay tuned. With grief, it is a natural response that we experience when we lose a loved one. It is also an internal response to our thoughts and feelings, which most of the times is very uncomfortable. It can be described as a feeling that is authentic to us. I mean, we just have to express it in our own individual ways. But one thing with grief is, with cultures that are very, very opinionated, or do I say avoidant culture to mourn, they are usually enabling that individual to experience more of loneliness. Then you don't give them that permission as a cultural perspective to mourn the way they want to. So technically, it can be frightening. It is difficult, it is overwhelming, it is painful, it is a love that has nowhere to go. You might have heard of a popular theory that breaks up bereavement in its stages, and we're talking about denial, anger, bargaining, depression, and acceptance. So let's talk about the steps in very simple steps. So talking about denial, just as the word says, you are in denial, it's actually a great way to respond to cope with your emotions. It is about telling yourself, no, this is not possible. I just saw her yesterday. How could she have? No, I am not going to take this. This is not it. You're kind of in that stage where you don't believe it. People can last in this period for days, for months, and be in denial. There's no time frame for it. There's no time frame for any of the stages, just so you know. There's no time frame. In fact, it is a linear stage, as it is said theoretically, but it usually doesn't happen that way. It can be, back and forth. It can, in fact, some people would pass through all the stages, right? Up until acceptance and still come back. So there is no fast rule about it that it has to be this way, and it is okay, just so you know. There's nothing wrong about that. It is just it's just your own way of expressing your grief, and just let it out, right? So with anger, I mean, after the denial stage, yeah, some people are angry, some people are wailing, some people are, you know, they express it out in different ways. Some people are crying, some people don't even cry. It's too hard. Some people cry inside, right? Some people cry outside. Some people, it's just different expressions of emotions. I mean, some people have multitude of emotions. Some it's short-lived, some it's long-lived, some it's all, you know, all over the place, but it's normal. Express it the best way you can. However way it helps, just do it. Let it out. I mean, repressive feelings is not the best, so whatever you can do to let it out, it's okay. Then the aspect of bargaining, I would use examples of like kids, like it's like I said, it's such an uncomfortable topic. I would try to refer to the crash that happened in the United States with Herbert Wigwe and his wife and his son. That was very devastating. And with some other members, I can't comprehend how the family is going to be able to deal with that. I mean, 3 family members at the same time, that's a difficult grieving to process. I mean, all grieving are difficult. I mean, even if it's one person, even if it's 2, but I'm just saying, like, and when it comes to kids, if you have younger kids, because I remember growing up, I lost my mom at a very early age, and I remember vividly till now that I used to ask my dad, where's my mom? I asked, I think when I was less than 10 years, I can remember for 7 years old, because my friends in school, they talk about their mom, their dad, and all of that. So, and I'm always wondering, I'm always just talking about my dad. I know many people relate to that from my secondary school as well. I know I was questioning him. So that's where bargaining comes from. I would say, like, so for some parents, they will say it out, like, oh yeah, your mom has passed on. Some people have a great technique on how to, you know, disclose this to their kids and they should be expecting and all that. But not everybody does. Some people will be saying something else, like, your mom is going to come back soon, don't worry. I'm not saying that's the right thing to say, and I'm not saying that's not the right thing to say. The truth is, everybody's circumstances is different, because you know your child better and you know what's better for the child. But I would recommend as a healthcare provider that it's better you best support yourself with a therapist if you don't know what to do. So I'm not going to be advising you here, but I'm just going to be encouraging you to work with a therapist if you find that yourself in such a difficult situation on how best to support your daughter or your child in situations like that. It can be a very uncomfortable situation. I'm so sorry that if I made you uncomfortable asking those questions, but let's go into the next stage, which is depression. So some people go into depression as well, which is more like being despondent, being very sad. You know, these things are also normal as long as you're not into that clinical depressive state where all those things just happens because you're actually mourning someone who's lost. It's not like abnormal. It's not like something is not happening. So it's more like a reactive depression for me. So like we say, you need support in all of these things. I will go into that very soon. And the last one is acceptance. Acceptance is a very great one as well, so that you can also move into the stage of healing. You know, it makes healing very easy over time. The ability to be able to live with it in a healthy way is what matters. I had to live without my mom, right? Knowing that, oh, so I'm never gonna see her. Really? Are you for real? So that's my own reality, right? I remember watching the show, the interview with the Good Morning America show, sometimes last week. The popular Hollywood most versatile actress, Regina King, she did say she's still struggling with acceptance at the moment, and she took the courage to come out more openly this season. So that's why we say it's here to stay. Like, grief is a love that goes nowhere. And she expressed how close she was to her son, the memories they shared. These are things that will definitely make us struggle, you know, in that process of grieving. So it's like saying you go for a show or you want to do something. This is someone who would usually accompany you to shows or stuff, and he's not there anymore. Definitely you're gonna feel that vacuum. It's really hard, I know. I remember her saying it's a sadness that will never go away, and it was described more like a reminder of what that person means to you, which is more of what you would describe as a happy soul. So everybody's definition is different. So if you accept, great. If you're still struggling with it, it's still okay. There's no prize in whoever is the fastest to get over their grief. Now, another thing is to tolerate your physical and emotional limits. And saying this means you should understand that you would have some physical challenges in terms of maybe inability to eat well, inability to sleep well. Pay attention to all of this by doing more self-care. It could be hard, but it's very important to note that can be affected. Your physical health can be affected. But note that anything that affects the physical can affect the mental. So you want to try and be self-aware to some extent, to remember to do some self-care. I mean, take breaks when you need to. Relax for most times in the day, maybe 30 minutes, 50 minutes, as your body requires. Please take those breaks and relax. Take some rest. I mean, you schedule, probably if you're working or if you're doing some busy activities at home, try and reduce all of these schedules and make it lighter for yourself to get the care you need. And this indicates how much of support system you would need, because I mean, doing all of these things is easier said than done. Without a support system, it's not going to be that easy. I don't subscribe to grieving alone. I mean, when I say alone, I mean without any support system, like, oh, just you. I don't know how that can be harmful. So with support system, like your friends, your family members, we've talked about sharing your feelings with them or someone you trust. Even if you don't have any of these, you can talk to a therapist, you can talk to a healthcare provider, counselors. There are people out there that are well versed in this area of grief process, and they know how best to support individuals that are grieving. Seek help, reach out, and I hope this is going to be helpful for someone. And don't hesitate to subscribe, like, share, tell a friend to tell a friend. Thank you all for watching, and I appreciate your time. I'll see you all in my next video. Bye.